Free the land, beloved. Come on in, come on in. My name is Vicki Dillard, and I'm a proud contributor right here on FlyNubianQueenTV.com, the network for melanated people like you. Welcome, welcome to our broadcast today. We are so pleased to see you. A little bit of housekeeping before we get our most important conversation about our brother, Mr. Bill Cosby, who just had a very, very important legal appellate hearing today. I want us to get ready to discuss briefly about that, but I want to talk about something that's interrelated to that for today's war briefing. I'm so pleased that you've joined us today. As you come in, please come in giving us the thumbs up, thumbs up. Be sure to like, be sure to share. I want you to know that you can text the word Queens to 31996 so that you're able to receive phone notifications when we go live from time to time. Also, for the holiday season, I were to check out shopfnq.com, our store.com, where you can receive all types of apparel and products for that beautiful melanated woman in your life. So make sure that you do that, okay, beloved? Make sure that you do that. Now let's get ready to get on into our show today. Without further ado, I think it's very important that we discuss our brother, Bill Cosby, and what preceded his conviction, what helped to create the conditions for his conviction. Now, I'm already seeing what folks are saying. There's buffering. Is that true? I just barely got on, and already there's buffering. How about now? Can you all see me? You all are saying it's bad, the buffering. Okay, family. Can you all see and hear me okay now? You all see and hear me okay now? You all see and hear me okay now? Okay, people are saying it's better. Okay. Yep, looks like we're already having some hateration going on. But let me just try to move on, and I'm going to try my best to make it as quick as possible today, and just give them a minute to work out this stuff without further delay. So Bill Cosby had a very important appellate hearing today, and one cannot know definitively for sure which way a case is going to go based on the court's questioning. However, it was pretty interesting and somewhat, some might even say, encouraging the manner in which the justices in Philadelphia were questioning the prosecution, and they seemed to be very doubtful about his accusers. Now, I'm just going to briefly read you a little bit from the New York Times. This was the first piece that I pulled up, but I listened to most of the hearing today. And it says here in this piece, family, come on in giving us a thumbs up, like, and share. We know we're having some tech issues. I'm going to do my best. I know I say this often, but I'm really going to do my best to make this a brief war briefing today because they're already playing with our feed. And some of you all are saying you're having problems with the buffering. So I'm going to try to get on with it, okay? Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, like, and share. Thank you so much, beloved. Now let's get into it. This piece is titled from New York Times, Bill Cosby Case. Judges review decision to allow multiple accusers. Several Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices hearing Cosby's appeal of his sexual assault conviction expressed, and this is what I noticed, expressed concern that 5 additional women had been allowed to testify at his 2018 trial. Are you hearing me? Several Pennsylvania Supreme Court justices hearing Cosby's appeal of his sexual assault conviction expressed concern that 5 additional women had been allowed to testify. The piece, as written by Graham Bowley, says, a panel of appeals court justices closely questioned Pennsylvania prosecutors Tuesday, that's of course today, about whether Bill Cosby had been treated fairly at his sexual assault trial in 2018, when 5 of the women were allowed to testify that they too had been similarly abused by the entertainer in encounters stretching back into the 1980s. The hearing before Pennsylvania Supreme Court, the state's highest court, was part of Mr. Cosby's latest effort to overturn his conviction in the drugging and sexual assault of Andrea Constand at his home outside of Philadelphia in 2014. The decision by the trial court to include the testimony by other so-called, quote, prior bad acts. Prior bad acts. Okay, where did it go? Let's try this. Yes, by other prior, quote, by other prior bad acts. Let's see. Hold on, family. This piece just flipped out. Okay, the decision by the trial court to include the testimony by other so-called prior bad acts witnesses had been a key moment of the trial. But Mr. Cosby's defense team had argued that the collective weight of the women's accounts, which had never been the subject of criminal cases on their own, had unfairly tainted the jury. Mr. Cosby suffered unquantifiable prejudice, a lawyer from Mr. Cosby, Jennifer Bogine, said at the Tuesday hearing. The presumption of innocence just did not exist for him at this point. Now, family, I want us to briefly look at this because what took place with our brother, Mr. Bill Cosby, affects all of us and in some way is related to Black society. Are you hearing me today? Whenever there are high-profile cases dealing with Black people, you always need to pay attention, family, because they tend to serve as a proxy for us. You don't just get to shrug your shoulder and think that that has nothing to do with you when you are at war and you're dealing with the system and in a system of white supremacy. Somebody talk Black to me. Are you hearing me today? You don't just get to shrug your shoulders as if this has absolutely nothing to do with you. There's no such thing as that, because everything in this country, while we're at war, everything can be weaponized, has been weaponized. Are you hearing me today? So it's very important that you understand the interconnection. Now, when I was listening to the arguments, I was listening to the questioning of the justices, and I was listening to the responses of his legal team as well as the prosecution. I was reminded of the different types of courts that too many uninformed, low information citizens, Black folk in particular, seem to be unaware of or get mixed up or conflate. What do I mean? There is a such thing as the court of public opinion. That's mostly your media in all of its forms, your social gatherings, your church groups, and all this kind of stuff. certainly the domestic front. And then there's the legal court. Now, a very important example of the court of public opinion versus the legal court is your president, Donald Trump. Now, Donald Trump is out and about saying that there is massive fraud that was related to this election, right? He's brought forth no evidence of such. He is in charge of all of the major investigatory agencies and bureaus. So if anybody had the power to prove it, it would be Donald Trump. He has failed to do so. Even when his attorneys go into court, Donald Trump's own attorneys are not even actually arguing in the legal court massive fraud, and they have certainly not presented evidence. However, Donald Trump's funny looking self is all on Twitter, and his handlers all throughout mainstream media and cable networks, they're out there saying massive fraud. So some of you all don't understand that there is no penalty of perjury for lying in public about an election and lying in the court of law about an election. I'm gonna need somebody black to talk black to me. Some of you think that because Donald Trump and his handlers are saying on Fox News or Twitter that there's been massive fraud, you guys think that that automatically means he actually went into a court of law and said that to a judge. He is not. And Donald Trump and his handlers do this because they know that the average Americans are not going to investigate. They know that you are not sophisticated enough to tell the difference, to know the difference. They know that you're just going to assume that because he's saying on Twitter and on media that there was massive fraud, that he's actually going to go into a court and tell that to a judge. Somebody talk black to me. Sophisticated citizens, like hopefully yourself, intelligent black people in particular, we know the difference. Because someone's saying loudly or on a major platform that something is so, you should be intelligent enough to know by now that the devil, somebody please fill in the blanks, John chapter 8, you should be intelligent enough to know by now, especially if you listen to Sister Vicky, that the devil, it's written in scripture, I'm just talking about what's written, is what? But not only a liar and the father of lies, one translation says that when he lies, it's consistent with his character. You all know I've taught you that when we're talking about the devil being a liar, it's not just that a devil lies, it's the breath he breathes is a lie. His hair follicles is a lie. When he shaves, the shaving is a lie. Taking a shower is a lie. Sneezing and coughing is a lie. Combing their hair is a lie. When they parallel park, it's a lie. When they catch a bus, it's a bus pass. The bus pass is a lie. When they're bagging their groceries, it's a lie. When they're recycling, the recycling is a lie. When they're having indigestion, that's a lie. Their prescription medicine is a prescription lie. Somebody talk black to me. When they're on the phone talking, their wives are lies, their children are lies. Somebody talk black to me. When they do yoga, the yoga poses, they're lie yoga poses. Every inch, every ounce, their RNA, their DNA, every fiber of their being is a lie. And I have taught you, I don't know why y'all laughing at me, and I have taught you all long enough that whenever our open enemy, I said sometimes, no, I said whenever, Every single time our open enemy makes an accusation against one of ours, you always, help me fill in the blank, family. What do? You always ask for what, family? You do what the God did in the garden when he was looking for Adam and the woman. He says, where are you? They said we were hiding ourselves because we were naked. And he said, what? Who told you that? You are supposed to, like God, always ask the question, who told you that? We always ask for two forms of IDs. You don't go running off at the mouth because somebody brings you some slander against your brother or sister, especially a white supremacist, and the first thing you do is, first of all, ask them for two forms of ID. Some of you are so quick to impress white people. You are so quick to weigh in because you want to manifest some kind of intelligence. You want to look important because you are so obsessed and preoccupied with impressing white people that you just start popping off at the mouth, giving your little opinion. And the only thing you ought to be popping off at the mouth about is okay, two forms of ID: passport, driver's license, state ID, social security card. And because the devil is a liar, a walking lie, they have perfected deception. They have perfected deception in a way that it'll actually look like there's some truth to it, and you guys will take it hook, line, and sinker. You will get so confused. You get so mixed up. You start talking crazy and acting like you don't know the difference between right and wrong, and you just confused and I don't know what's what. So rather than you give an opinion on whether or not what they're saying is true or not, all you need to say is, you know what? I need two forms of ID. You need to be figuring out who you talking to. Now that I've gotten that out the way, because today is a very brief war briefing. Somebody talk black to me. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, family. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. We had issues yesterday. We had to stop and start all over. And some of you guys came back an hour later. But we're going to keep going forward today on today's topics. Please like, please share. Would you do that? My name is Vicki Dillard. I'm typically here 6:30 p.m. Eastern, or approximately thereabout, right here on FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com. Now listen, come on Instagram. I need to use this device. So Instagram, please come on over to FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com. Instagram, come on over to FlyNewBeanQueenTV.com. Thank you so very much. By the way, family, you can follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. Follow me on Instagram at Vicki X Dillard. Now let's get ready to get into this today. How many of you all know who Michael Eric Dyson is? Professor Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. How many of you all are familiar with Professor Michael Eric Dyson? Okay, a few of you all are saying yes. Watch this. Now, seeing that our had a very important appellate hearing today, I understood that while I was watching and listening to a legal court, I understood, especially in high-profile cases that have tremendous consequence, I understood that there was another court that had to have taken place for his to have even gotten this far. Are you all hearing me? And that is the court of public opinion. Now, my goal is to tell you the truth, dear family. My goal is to tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Michael Eric Dyson, who's a professor and who is often seen weighing in on mainstream media outlets as a talking head, wrote a very controversial book sometime back. Here's the cover on Bill Cosby. Do you all see this? The name, yeah, do you all see this piece? It says, "Is Bill Cosby right? Or has the black middle class lost its mind?" A piece from Dr. Michael Eric Dyson. I was given this book a few years ago, and I will admit that I was not pleased at times when our brother Bill Cosby found himself on certain outlets, and I felt that he was chastising black folk. I felt that some of Bill Cosby's criticism was well-meaning, but I was concerned by some of the outlets that Bill Cosby was on, and I was concerned how our open enemy would use Bill Cosby's criticism of black people against us. That was my main concern. But I still maintain a healthy respect for him because he put his money where his mouth was, to the tune of millions and millions and millions of dollars. Thumbs up, family. Like and share. Thank you for giving to Fly Nubian Queen. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. Now, Michael Eric Dyson's piece sparked such questions such as, do you view Bill Cosby as a race traitor? Journalist Paul Zahn bluntly asked me on a nighttime television show. Dealing with Michael Eric Dyson here, of course. It says that Zahn was referring to the broadside the entertainer had launched against irresponsible black parents who are poor and their delinquent children. So Bill Cosby has said some things that has upset members of black society. And I get some of that anger. But black folks should never lose sight at the macro scheme and machinations that are ever at work by our 465-year-old open enemies. Watch this, but that's not all. Michael Eric Dyson, in this piece, believes that Bill Cosby was disrespecting the black poor. Are y'all hearing me today? Watch this. In fact, some that commented on Michael Eric Dyson's book said these words. When it says praise is for Bill Cosby, right? That's the name of the book. Is Bill Cosby right? Listen to this quote from Washington Post. Dyson, who can coin a phrase with the best of them, roundly defends the black youngsters whose circumstances sparked the Cosby campaign. Ebony Magazine. Dyson deconstructs the logic of Cosby's comments and defends poor blacks. Princeton Alumni Weekly says, Dyson is seen by many as their heir apparent to such black intellectual luminaries as Princeton's Cornel West, who I'm so unimpressed with, no disrespect, and Harvard's Henry Louis Gates Jr. In his Cosby book, Dyson uses history and social science to raise nuanced images of poor black people. And these virtues are abundant in Dyson's own fluent and gorgeous multilingualism. There is syncopation, repetition, call and response, variations of idiom. There is hilarity, grief, the sly rattle and snap of the rhetorical snare. He samples like a rapper with scholarly footnotes. That's a whole bunch of nothing right there, family. Other quotes about his book from Denver Post. Withering attack on Cosby for his criticisms of the black poor and why Cosby is letting their other factors off the hook that keep the underclass where they are. A good reminder to look at the whole picture, including self-help and personal responsibility. Now, let me tell you something. This book was really a hit piece by Michael Eric Dyson. Michael Eric Dyson is to be sure an orator, loquacious. Whenever he chats, whenever he talks, baby, it's gonna be a lot of verbosity going on. He's a rhetorician. Listen. But it doesn't go any further than that. Mr. Michael Eric Dyson, Professor Michael Eric Dyson, simply makes his living by writing books, articulating racism, but not demanding that anything substantive be done about it. So when he is brought on to speak on television, it's always about his latest book that he's written. It's always about how well he can explain racism. And when he throws a little history and a little timeline in it, he confuses people with being intelligent and powerful. But it doesn't go beyond that. And this is the thing that a lot of folks don't like about those of us who are members of the Black grassroots. We are unimpressed with you Black bootlegs. We are unimpressed with you members of the Black boule, because you offer nothing. You acknowledge our trauma. You acknowledge the hell that we've gone through. And you demand absolutely nothing be done about it. So the reason why white mommy and white daddy brings you on to powerful platforms, the reason why they give Dr. Michael Eric Dyson's tenure and all this kind of stuff, or a place in a position at their schools and universities, or what have you, is because all he's going to do is talk about it. And in his talking about it, he absolves white people of their terror against us. And he still expects us to follow their lead in this satanic dance. Somebody talk black to me. Listen, I wanted to discuss this today because of the enormity and the importance of our brother's appellate hearing today. And I want to talk about when Michael Eric Dyson a few years ago was on MSNBC. He was discussing his book. He was discussing the controversy around Bill Cosby, right? Let me read this to you before I go further. Thumbs up, family. Like and share. On the count of three, for those of you that haven't, please hit the thumbs up button. 1, 2, 3. Thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit educational personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. What I posted today, just so we're very clear of where we're going with today's brief war briefing. Somebody say brief war briefing. I got to do some medical stuff early today. This is what I posted on my Instagram page. By the way, you can follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Y'all see that? This is what I posted today on my Instagram page. Can you see that? And I asked the question, did Michael Dyson's anti-Bill Cosby book help convict him? This is my question. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. 1, 2, 3, thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Watch this. Watch this. So Michael Eric Dyson, a few years ago, was on MSNBC. Let me cue that for you. Talking about Bill Cosby. And in this piece from a few years ago, it's titled Bill Cosby Slammed by Michael Eric Dyson for Past Attack on Blacks and His Hypocrisy, right? So Michael Eric Dyson goes to MSNBC to publicly disrespect his brother, right? This, somebody is asking what the name of the book is. Is Bill Cosby Right is the name of the book, family. Now let's listen, please.
Cosby has been doing the black community in America. Do you think that Bill Cosby has been doing the black community in America a disservice for years?
I think he has. I think look, as an American comedian, he's a genius. One of the 2 or 3 greatest American comedians that we've ever seen, along with Richard Pryor and Mark Twain, and maybe Lenny Bruce and George Carlin. So there's no question that he's a remarkable rhetorician. There's no question that his insight as an American entertainer has been extraordinary, and his pioneering career. However, that doesn't translate into the social analysis realm. He has used his enormous wealth and his philanthropy to, I think, undermine and subvert the very practices of decency and respect to ordinary, average black people. I think he has used his bully pulpit to rain down thunder upon them, and I think he has been incredibly unfair. Let me give you one example. We were all gathered in New Orleans after Katrina, and Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton and Mark Morial and myself were leading a march, and we spoke. Mr. Cosby spoke as well. The rest of us were saying, let's defend these people who have been dispersed. Mr. Cosby got up and said, look, you were messed up before the storm came. You were having murders before the storm came. You were having babies out of wedlock before the storm came. And he began to get on a roll of, I think, attacking defenseless people. That kind of thing is not helpful. It reinforces racist stereotypes about black people. It doesn't shed light on the persistence of structural inequalities that prevail. And it allows him to get off on poor people, which is a sport in America that I think is defenseless, and we have to indefensible, and we have to hold him to account and be as vigorously critical as one can imagine.
What has been your relationship with Mr. Cosby?
He said we need to be vigorously critical. Did y'all hear him? Of Bill Cosby. Listen to the initial question that he was asked. Listen again to the initial question that he was asked about Bill Cosby.
Do you think that Bill Cosby has been doing the black community in America a disservice for years?
What's the question? What's the question, family? What's the question that Michael Eric Dyson was asked?
You think that Bill Cosby has been doing the black community in America a disservice for years?
So he asked him, do you think Bill Cosby has been doing a disservice to black folk for years, right? He asks him a question about Bill Cosby's impact on black life. He said, for years. Do you think that's the case, Mr. Professor Dr. Michael Eric Dyson?
Yes, I think as an American comedian, he's a genius. One of the two or three greatest American comedians that we've ever seen, along with Richard Pryor and Mark Twain, and maybe Lenny Bruce and George Carlin. So there's no question that he's a remarkable rhetorician. There's no question that his insight as an American entertainer has been extraordinary, and his pioneering career. However, that doesn't translate into the social analysis realm. He has used his enormous wealth and his philanthropy to, I think, undermine and subvert.
He said he's used his tremendous wealth and philanthropy to undermine
the very practices of decency and respect to ordinary, average black people. I think he has used his bully pulpit to rain down thunder upon them, and I think he has been incredibly unfair. Let me give you one example. We were all gathered in New Orleans after Katrina, and Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton and Mark Morial and myself were leading a march, and we spoke. Mr. Cosby spoke as well. The rest of us were saying, let's defend these people who have been dispersed. Mr. Cosby got up and said, look, you were messed up before the storm came. You were having murders before the storm came. You were having babies out of wedlock before the storm came. And he began to get on a roll of, I think, attacking defenseless people. That kind of thing is not helpful. It reinforces racist stereotypes about black people. It doesn't shed light on the persistence of structural inequalities that prevail. And it allows him to get off on poor people, which is a sport in America that I think is defenseless, and we have to indefensible, and we have to hold him to account and be as vigorously critical as one can imagine.
What has been?
He says we need to hold him to account. Did y'all hear that? He said we need to hold him to account, and we need to be vigorously critical of him. Miss B, saw you live and decided to tune in on my way to sleep. Okay. Thank you for supporting financially Black media. Bless your gift 1,000-fold. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, family. Thank you all so much for your patience and the tech issues we were having a little bit ago. We're going to press through it. I'm going to do my best to keep today's war briefing very brief. Very brief. But it's up to you to like, to share, and to subscribe. Again, don't forget to check out our store, shopfnq.com. And also, dear family, if you want to start a Black business, go to flynubianbusiness.com to learn the ins and outs of how you can start and have your own Black business, learning from Black people.
Relationship with Mr. Cosby over the years, Doctor.
Look,
real quick, don't forget, I don't want you to forget this next important part. He says that we need to hold him accountable, right? And to be vigorously critical of Bill Cosby. He said he's used his bully pulpit. He says he's used his enormous wealth. He said he's used his philanthropy, basically against the Black poor is who he's referring to. Keep listening. We're almost finished with that part.
After my book appeared, Is Bill Cosby Right, or Has the Black Middle Class Lost Its Mind? Predictably, Mr. Cosby did not feel very well. So I saw him in a restaurant one night. Long story short, outside, he gave me the finger. The next morning, we were on a...
Michael Eric Dyson's big old funny looking self is up here telling a white man on a white network that another Black man who's given millions and millions and millions of dollars to Black people gave him the middle finger. Watch this.
Together from New York to Washington to Philadelphia. He apologized to me, and then we had a vigorous conversation.
He said he apologized to you, though, right? And then you said you had a vigorous conversation. Keep listening.
I invited him onto my radio show. He said, I will not come on your show until you are enlightened and see the truth. I think there's a kind of arrogance about Mr. Cosby that believes his way is the only way. And unfortunately, we weren't able to resolve our differences in terms of an amicable conversation, but certainly we've tried to prosecute our differences the best way we know how.
Okay, so the Black man sat down with you. I guess he apologized about the middle finger, but because he still felt politically and socially the way that he did. But he was a brother to you. He sat down with you. You guys talked, right? Watch.
Bill Cosby today, what would your counsel to him be?
I would say, first of all, that I hope that you would reconsider that the position you're in now, that others have felt this way for 10 years. That is to say, attacked unfairly, unjustly, assaulted, and therefore use your particular predicament now. And you are owed the presumption of innocence until guilt is proved. You are owed not to be hung by a jury in the court of public opinion. But at the same time, you are also, I think, responsible as a celebrity and a figure who is a public person to own up to discussions about issues that have been brought before us. So he's right.
So he's holding him accountable as a public figure, as a celebrity, and as a comedian for what happens in Black society, right? Michael Eric Dyson believes, I don't want you to forget the first question. Y'all know I got receipts, right?
You think that Bill Cosby has been doing the Black community in America a disservice?
Please don't forget this question. There's a reason I keep replaying it. Listen to this part, family.
Do you think that Bill Cosby has been doing the Black community in America a disservice for years?
I think he has. I think look, as an American comedian, he's a genius. One of the 2 or 3 greatest American comedians that we've ever seen, along with Richard Pryor and Mark Twain, and maybe Lenny Bruce and George Carlin. So there's no question that he's a remarkable rhetorician. There's no question that his insight as an American entertainer has been extraordinary, and his pioneering career. However, that doesn't translate into the social.
So he's holding him accountable. Shout out to you, Jackie, for your $50 gift. I bless your gift 1,000 votes. So he's saying he's a rhetorician. I'm saying, no, baby, you're the only one that's a rhetorician. And what you do for Black society is nothing more than talk. And that's not even for us. It's just Michael Eric Dyson talks about Black issues, in my opinion, to stay booked and busy. Michael Eric Dyson uses his knowledge of Black history not to do anything substantive to ensure we experience Black liberation. He does it to stay booked and busy, to get jobs on white networks. He's holding Bill Cosby accountable. What was the question again? In Black society.
You think that Bill Cosby has been doing the Black community in America a disservice for years?
I think he has. I think look, So
keep that in mind. Michael Eric Dyson, Dr. Michael Eric Dyson believes that Bill Cosby has been doing a disservice for years to Black society. Okay, Vicky, you played that too. Played that for us. Now, I want to play you this clip because I was thinking of something, remembering something. And I found, I think, a brief enough clip that I can show you right now. And I want to say shout out to my brother with First Works Media. He's a part of Black Media as a production with the NOI. And I found this clip from my brother and made it simple enough for me to use. He didn't even know I don't think I'm going to use this today. But I wanted to compare Michael Eric Dyson's feelings about Bill Cosby and the damage he says he feels he's done to Black society, to the Black family, Black community for years. But I want you to hear what Michael Eric Dyson said about who, Vicky? Who?
Good day, my fellow American citizens. I, Michael Eric Dyson, am endorsing Vice President Joe Biden.
It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is a cop.
Do we need to go further, family? Family? Family. Okay, you can feel that way about Bill Cosby. Okay. Damage he's done to Black society, you said for years. Okay. Let's go back again. Why y'all saying boom? Listen.
Good day, my fellow American citizens. I, Michael Eric Dyson, am endorsing Vice President Joe Biden.
It doesn't matter whether or not the person that is accosting your son or daughter or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents.
As the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth.
I think that Senator Biden, given his extraordinary history.
It doesn't matter whether or not they had no background that enabled them to.
He said Vice President Joe Biden's extraordinary history. Remember, he said about Bill Cosby was doing damage to Black society for years.
To become socialized into the fabric of society.
I think Vice President Biden, given his extraordinary service,
It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society.
will make a tremendous president for these United States of America.
The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons.
This man has been on the front lines for the last 40 some odd years.
So I don't want to ask, what made them do this?
Making certain that justice, truth, and democracy are our share.
They must be taken off the street.
Making certain that those who are most vulnerable will be spoken up for.
Unless we do something about that cadre of young people, tens of thousands of them, born out of wedlock, without parents, without supervision, without any structure, without any conscience developing.
Making certain that those with the greatest needs are to be addressed.
We should focus on them now. If we don't, they will, or a portion of them will, become the predators 15 years from now.
He has been a fierce advocate of the downtrodden.
And Madam President, we have predators on our streets that society has, in fact, in part because of its neglect, created.
He has been an extraordinary advocate for those who need help.
Again, it does not mean because we created them that we somehow forgive them or do not take them out of society to protect my family and yours from them.
And he has given his service completely in utter devotion to those principles that we all cherish.
And the truth is, we don't very well know how to rehabilitate them at that point.
Like any other figure, of course, he has made mistakes. And I'm cognizant of and conscious of those mistakes.
We have no choice but to take them out of society.
But nothing he has done could in any way argue against his valorous service.
That's the sad truth. I'm the guy that said rehabilitation, when it occurs, we don't understand it and notice it. And when we notice it and we know it occurs, we don't know why.
Can in any way undercut and undermine his fitness for office.
So you cannot make rehabilitation a condition for release. That's why in our system, there's the federal system, you serve 85% of your time.
To be the standard bearer for American democracy in our day and age.
I don't care why someone is a malefactor in society.
In this age of malicious mendacity and vulgar mediocrity, we need a man of extraordinary gift, character, and consistency.
I don't care why someone is antisocial.
To take the helm of this nation. We are in perilous times, and Vice President Joe Biden is the man for the job.
I don't care why they become a sociopath.
I hope you'll join with me in supporting him. The times are perilous.
We have an obligation to cordon them off from the rest of society, try to help them, try to change the behavior. That's why we do in this bill. We have drug treatment and we have other treatments to try to deal with it, but they are in jail.
The times are extremely difficult.
Away from my mother, your husband, our families.
But he is the man who has risen to the occasion, who has been made fit for office by his extraordinary partnership, not only with President Obama, but even before that, with millions of people with whom he has struck common cause in defending the very fundamental principles of our democracy. I am proud to endorse Joe Biden for President of the United States of America.
Family. Again, shout out to my brother with First Works Media for that clip. Family. The man who's the extraordinary mastermind behind the 1994 crime bill. The man who supported too many other anti-Black policies and legislations through Congress. For years destroyed Black society and got others to join in. As a politician, as a lawmaker. But about Bill Cosby?
You think that Bill Cosby has been doing the black community in America a disservice for years?
I think he has. I think look, as an American.
So Bill Cosby has been doing a disservice, just so I'm clear. What did you say one more time?
Do you think that Bill Cosby has been doing the black community in America a disservice for years?
I think he has. I think look, as an American comedian, he's a genius.
Bill Cosby has been doing damage to Black America and the Black community for years. But
good day, my fellow American citizens. I, Michael Eric Dyson, am endorsing Vice President Joe Biden.
It doesn't matter.
You guys, shout out to you, Dean, for your gift. She said, do it, sis. Thank you, beloved. I bless your gift 1,000-fold. When I am calling out these bones and biscuits and sellouts and these treasonous bones and biscuits and members of the coon community, this League of Mammies, LOM, and the buttery bussy bite brigade, I know what I'm talking about. Dear family, you cannot be trusted if you can write a whole book about a Black man that you have perhaps even a genuine and a legitimate disagreement with, but a Black man who's no doubt done much for Black society, and you didn't even do the courtesy of writing a hit piece on Joe Biden. But no, you come out forcefully saying that Joe Biden is this upstanding man with a tremendous service to America. And of course, that would include Black society. Dear family, shout out to you, Hazina. Thank you, Vicky Dillard, for all you do. You're welcome, beloved. I bless your gifts 1,000-fold. Thank those of you that are supporting the Super Chat and supporting Black media. Dear family, these sellouts, like Michael Eric Dyson, white folks give them the title professor. They give these kind of folks tenure. White outlets bring them on television to be the talking heads for you. They tell you these are your leaders because they've endorsed them. They've patted them on the back. Watch this. But there are different kinds of professors today. God, today. I wish I could scream. I said there are new professors. There's a new university that's underway. And thank God for the new Black media, Black conscious people and entities that are exposing these kinds of hypocrites and enemies to Black society. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson is the type that loves to attend White House ballroom meetings. Dr. Michael Eric Dyson likes schmoozing with Black elites. He likes to say he gets to hang out in such spaces and places. And then they very likely give him a call and ask if he's going to be endorsing them. And he's assured that he'll have a little White House access. And he knows to keep the bills paid. He continues to sell us out. Watch this. Don't miss this. Using Black history. Thumbs up, family. Like and share. Today's a very brief war briefing. He is pimping us using our own history. And he doesn't offer holding white people accountable. He doesn't demand reparations. He does not demand that our killers and white terrorists be held accountable. He has a whole lot of energy for a black man. But he doesn't have that same kind of energy for Jim Crow Joe Biden. Shout out to you, TM, for your gift. Big respect. Thank you. Shout out to you, Stanley, for your gift. I bless your gifts 1,000-fold. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, family. Like and share. Also, don't forget to sign up for my mastermind tomorrow at clubvicky.com, clubvicky.com. We've been having an amazing time discussing traits that make you supernatural. And I'm going to pick up on that again tomorrow. Go to clubvicky.com. You can still join for $1, I believe, for the first 30 days. Use it as a gift for other people as well. Clubvicky.com. Once a week, you have direct access to me in this exclusive group where I'll drop spiritual jewels. I break them down and I answer your questions. Listen. I had a whole lot of notes that I wanted to go through. Not notes, but parts where I cued from our brother's hearing today.
Whether or not the person,
but I'm not going to go through all of it. But just listen again as you keep giving us a thumbs up.
that is accosting your son or daughter, or my son or daughter, my wife, your husband, my mother, your parents.
As the Democratic nominee for the presidency of the United States of America,
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth.
I think that Senator Biden, given his extraordinary history,
It doesn't matter or not whether.
Listen to the language. He says you're extraordinary. He calls Joe Biden's extraordinary history. Thank you, Edwin. He says cheers to you. Thank you, beloved. He said his extraordinary history. What kind of history that's extraordinary? This is your black professors. See, they get people like Michael Eric Dyson and call him professor, and you guys get confused with the title professor and doctor, and you actually think these people actually know what the hell they're talking about. You automatically legitimize them because white folk gave them that moniker, that title, an appellation. So you assume that they know what they're talking about. Stephen, bless you, Queen. Take it straight to the bootlicking sellout. You know it, beloved. Listen.
They had no background that enabled them to become socialized into the fabric of society.
I think Vice President Biden, given his extraordinary service.
It doesn't matter what.
Somebody needs to ask Professor Michael Eric Dyson, what extraordinary service is he referring to as it relates to black society? He calls his service extraordinary, but he calls Bill Cosby a problem for black society for years. These are people that are selling us out, family, in private. Michael Eric Dyson has been sitting back there with the Obamas of the world, the DNC types, and the heads of those that book folk on TV. He's been making secret deals with them about how they're just going to try to impact and influence us because we don't know what's good for us. And they handpick his types, as I said a minute ago, to confuse you because you call him doctor. And because he's a good rhetorician. He knows how to talk. He sounds like he's a walking thesaurus that's full of crap that confuses some of you. And you think he's deep. You think he's powerful and intelligent. You get excited if they bring him on TV on Fox News or something, and then he demolishes a white supremacist on TV. But when he's done with that little television show, he's having coffee or a beer with them and tells them, I can't wait to see you Friday, 9 p.m. Central on Joy Reid show, Lomina show. Shout out to you, Derek. They're swapping Christmas gifts. Michael Eric has probably told them, tell your wife and kids I said hello. Did they get the gift did they get the St. Patrick's gift I sent them? Are we still on next month for vacation? This is what they do. Michael Eric Dyson, you're wondering why are you asking, did he help to create an environment? Let me tell you something. Why are you saying, Vicki, you're asking the question, did Michael Eric Dyson, along with the other black bootlicks and sellouts, did they assist in creating an environment that made Bill Cosby conviction possible? Because, family, when you're dealing with such a high-profile individual as Bill Cosby, you do not go. Don't forget, Bill Cosby was successful and victorious in his previous legal cases. Don't forget they had repeatedly tried to, he had a previous trial and they couldn't get a conviction. Don't forget, out of the 40-something, mostly Beckys that claim to be accusers, not one of them took it to trial. And so because they went and got a whole bunch of lying wonders, they knew that it would not hold up in a court of law, which is why none of them went to trial. So they knew that in order for them to have a chance in court with at least one case, they first have to prosecute it in the court of public opinion. I bless all of your gifts 1,000-fold. Are you hearing me? So what did they do? They found a whole bunch of lying wonder Beckys and Karens, a combination of Karens and Beckys and Gretchens and Matildas that stretched all the way back to the Civil War. And they got them to come out and say all manner of evil against him. And because they were so many overwhelming allegations, they knew you simple-minded Negro bootlicks and sellouts would simply say, well, if it's that many white women mostly, not the one or two little black-looking people that was in the group that was totally discredited later. They knew that if they would just get a huge volume of alleged accusers, you would confuse the alleged victims with veracity. You would say, oh, it must be something to it. It's not one conviction, not one. But because it's so many, some of you were slow enough to say, well, it's so many accusers, it's got to be something to it. And then they use as an excuse, well, the reason why, watch this, not one Becky, not one Gretchen, not one Karen, the reason why, not one of them went to the police. Not one of them went to law enforcement from these allegations from the Civil War, from the Revolutionary War, from the Korean War. Somebody talk black to me. These obscure, mostly lying wonders, they knew you weren't intelligent enough to do no research. You would just be out there saying, well, it's got to be something to it because there's so many. And because you are ignorant of your own history, you believe the lie when they said, well, they didn't go to tell on him because he was Bill Cosby. Nobody was going to believe him. Let me help you understand something. How many other mini wars, how many battles have black folk fought where a white woman lied and got a whole war started, destroyed our families, destroyed our towns, destroyed our businesses, got somebody lynched, got somebody killed, got somebody set on fire? Family, there's never been a time in history where a white woman made an allegation against a black man where she wasn't believed. Y'all ain't doing no kind of real thinking. Talking about they were scared to tell because it's Bill Cosby. What white woman? White women have always been listened to when she accused a black man of lying, lied on a black man of sexual assault. And some of you dumb enough to go out there and say, well, that's why they didn't say nothing, because he Bill Cosby and they were scared. The only time that ever happened is when black women legitimately called out white supremacists for rape. It was the black woman that wasn't believed. There's never been a time in history where a white woman didn't say something and she wasn't believed. Y'all are full of it. And they know the powers that shouldn't be intentionally made of so many people. They knew that you wouldn't do no investigation. You would just say what a lot of y'all said, where there's so many of them that there's got to be some truth to it. I'm just going to play this one part. There's so much I want to get through, but I'm not going to because I'm shortening today's show. During the hearing today, during Bill Cosby's very important hearing today, and shout out to our sister Nicole's View. Nicole's View has been on this, and I'm so proud of her staying on top of this on behalf of our brother Bill Cosby. Watch this. I was watching the coverage from the justices in court today. I listened to most of it. I want you to listen to this one part of the hearing. And while I'm pulling this up, family, make sure you give us a thumbs up, like, and share. Thumbs up, like, and share. Thumbs up, like, and share, family. Let me get to this part where the justices are talking. Watch this, because some of you all didn't know this and was out there just running off at the mouth.
See that he would be a person who's wise and would be able to give you advice. But this is not the scenario where he sought her out or she sought him out for some to advance her acting career or a modeling career. This was a chance encounter. He brought her into his inner circle as a friend, introduced her to people he knew.
Hold on.
He traveled to play, had such minimal probative value as compared to the danger of unfair prejudice that it seems clear that the court did not exercise discretion in allowing 5. So it's twofold. Our position is that there was no theory of admissibility that was for a non-propensity purpose. But even if this court were to disagree with that, at the end of the day, 5 witnesses, plus all of this vague testimony about quaaludes and Jane Does that were just exploited to the hilt during the closing arguments that frankly were just contorted from the deposition testimony in the first place, put Mr. Cosby in a position where he had no shot. The presumption of innocence just didn't exist for him at that point. And so I think the court abused its discretion in both of those ways.
Listen.
Counsel, this is Justice Donahue.
Good morning.
Good morning. Since you are not going to have time for rebuttal,
yes,
I would like you to, for me, spend a little bit of time talking about why the evidence that was offered through these prior bad act witnesses did not go to establish a common plan or scheme or a signature crime, which is what I understand your purported use was.
Watch this, family. I'm going to skip
this. Yes, Your
Honor.
So any sexual contact other than some bizarre behavior where he allegedly stroked her hair, and some women was inapt because identity was not a dispute. One woman had not even been invited to Mr. Cosby's home. She just came with a friend. And she was not an actress, and she didn't, this was just, a woman that misconduct of some type and the use of an intoxicant. They were not nearly identical. as to the charged offense,
Listen.
at least any more nearly identical than they would be to, frankly, almost the majority of acquaintance assaults or date rape situations, where we know that intoxicants almost invariably play a role in those types of assaults. But if you want to get more granular about it, in this case, we have prior allegations, again, 15, 22 years old prior allegations that involve a number of distinctions from the charged offense. I think one of the most astounding ones is the nature of the relationship. You cannot compare the relationship that Mr. Cosby allegedly had with these 5 other women that he did with the complainant. This was an 18-month relationship. This was a relationship.
This woman who claimed she was sexually assaulted had an 18-month relationship with Bill Cosby. Some of you slow people that's out there talking about he drugged somebody with Quaaludes. This girl who looked like a total man. By the way, I think that Constantine is gay anyway. She's a lesbian. Member of the LGBTQ community, my understanding. What in the world is she doing with a black heterosexual man that's married? In this long relationship, some of you slow out there running your mouths about stuff that you don't even know nothing about.
That, at least by her own testimony, was built on friendship. They exchanged gifts. They spoke regularly. This notion that he was mentoring her, well, I mean, anybody who comes in contact with Bill Cosby is going to sort of, given who he is, could perceive that he would be a person who's wise and would be able to give you advice. But this is not the scenario where he sought her out or she sought him out for some, to advance her acting career or a modeling career. This was a chance encounter. He brought her into his inner circle as a friend, introduced her to people he knew. He traveled to places with her, where New York, Connecticut. And so the nature of this relationship was very different. In the 5 prior bad act cases, one woman had not even been invited to Mr. Cosby's home. She just came with a friend. And she was not an actress, and she didn't. This was just, a woman that showed up to come socialize with Mr. Cosby with her friend. The other women had met him once or twice. So again, the nature of the relationship, I think, is a marked difference between the prior bad acts. We also have very different sexual type of contact. One of the women, Ms. Lublin, testified that she doesn't recall any sexual contact other.
What? How do you all run around here saying, calling these women sexual assault victims when one of the girls came out and said she don't even recall? Y'all play too much. See, you guys don't know how to stick with your own and be on code because you trying to impress white people. You want white people to think you just and kind. Meanwhile, you got a credibly alleged rapist in the White House, racist in the White House, criminal in the White House, and you call him Mr. President. Funny looking self.
Bizarre behavior where he allegedly stroked her hair. And some women.
The other one allegedly stroked her hair. Didn't I tell y'all the other day they was making claims because he was just behind them breathing?
Describe, intercourse where other women described that there was something that didn't involve penetration. So
somebody talk black to me.
The nature of the intoxicant was different. In some cases, like Ms. Baker-Kinney, she said, I took the Quaalude. He offered a Quaalude to me. I took it. There's no evidence whatsoever that anybody else was given a Quaalude.
So those of you,
even among the other 4
that was going around saying he was drugging all them women, there is absolutely no allegation at all that he was giving nobody else no Quaalude. The one where the word Quaalude was used was a girl who said she took the Quaalude. You all see how you take one little something that the media throw out there, and the media is programmed and condition you. I'm bringing this to your attention, black family, because I'm tired of us being our own worst enemies. It's one thing for white folk to prosecute us, lie on us, try to destroy us. It's another thing for you not to be aware of the tactics of the devil, the tactics of the enemy.
Prior bad act witnesses is in the charged offense. For as much as Quaaludes played a role in this case, from the prosecution's perspective, they will concede. They have no evidence that Mr. Cosby gave Ms. Constant a Quaalude or anybody else.
So the lady where they got that little fake fraudulent conviction, Constantine, There is not even no allegation that he gave her funny looking self-note quaaludes. Most of y'all was out there running saying he said he did that. And the media twisted and you ran with it and do no research about his deposition. The drug he was talking about in the deposition had to do with medicine because she complained of a headache. And they acted like that's what it was, and y'all ate it up, some of you. Somebody talk black to me.
Frankly, the only person who speaks about a quaalude is Ms. Baker Kinney, who said, he offered me one, and I took one. So, yes.
This is Justice Todd.
I got to skip past this, but I want you to hear one more thing from one of the justices when they're going to make this interesting statement here. Watch this. Let me get to it.
Good morning. Let's assume we accept your argument on prior bad acts, that it was
prior bad act issue. My colleague, Deputy District Attorney Fallon, will be arguing the alleged non-prosecution agreement.
Watch this.
Your Honor, the prior bad act.
Why is that? Is it
now who's talking is the prosecution? This funny looking Becky who needs some help and some work. Now it's the prosecution. The judges are getting ready to ask her something. Watch. Say something here. Watch this.
Why do we need two lawyers?
Hold on.
Well, we filed a motion to split up the argument, and that motion was granted. So since I have been working on the prior bad acts since the inception of this case, and Mr. Fallon has been working on the other issue, that's why we submitted our motion.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Listen.
The prior bad act evidence in this case, the defendant's drug-induced sexual assaults of 5 women, was relevant under 3 separate grounds. First, it was relevant under the absence of mistake exception under 404B to rebut a defense. In this case, the defense was consent. That is, it had a tendency to prove that the defendant was not mistaken about whether or not Andrea Constant was conscious enough to consent to any sexual contact. The evidence was also admissible under the common plan or scheme exception. The defendant engaged in a years-long signature predatory pattern of seeking out and intentionally isolating young women so he could intoxicate them for the ultimate purpose of sexually assaulting them. So his plan was to intoxicate young women to eliminate consent. And thirdly, Your Honor, I would submit that the evidence.
Counsel, I apologize for interrupting you, but you keep saying the 5 women were sexually assaulted. It's my understanding that the last individual, the young woman that was interviewed for a part on the Cosby Show, there's no allegations of sexual contact.
There's no allegations of sexual contact. Y'all play too much. I said y'all play too much. I'm making this point because I'm going to talk about one more boot leak and I'm out of here. I got to go. Thumbs up, like, and share, family. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. Like, share, and subscribe. There are important links about different URLs that you need to be aware of, like our Black Business School, our shop, and other important links. Make sure that you take note of them in the chat.
She took a medication, fell asleep, and woke up.
Yes, Your Honor.
So share with me, how can you represent that there was sexual abuse on that person when the record evidence indicates just the opposite?
Your Honor, I would submit that the signature was isolating and intoxicating young women for the purpose of sexually assaulting them. And Lisa Loveland, you're correct, Your Honor. She did in fact testify that she has no recollection of being sexually assaulted. She has no recollection of what happened after the defendant.
She has no recollection of being assaulted because she was not assaulted. See, your mind don't tell you you've been sexually assaulted when you haven't been sexually assaulted. So the reason she can't recollect that she's been sexually assaulted because she was sexually assaulted. How many times have I taught you guys, when we're dealing with our open enemy because we're at war, you always ask for 2 forms of ID.
For a drink,
the conversations that's happening right now in court, these are the things that were taking place in secret while I was out there. Some of y'all was out there believing the stuff that was happening in the court of public opinion.
And after the defendant asked her to sit in between his legs on the couch, which she deemed to be odd and inappropriate, and then he began stroking her hair. And he basically passed out and was unconscious.
It's odd and inappropriate when a man asks you to sit in between your legs and he starts stroking your hair. And you are over there involved in, acting like you trying to get it on and stuff. And then none of you went to the police.
Until she woke up 2 days later in her apartment.
She woke up 2 days later, y'all. Y'all make it make sense. Y'all make it make sense.
But the bottom line is that the part of the signature is the entirety of the contact and the conduct between the defendant and these victims. And
Ms. Jaffe, Tom Saylor, but that conduct you described, the steps, the young women, there's literature that says that's common to 50% of these
submitted.
Notice how this white woman keep calling them white women victims. You're not a victim. There's no evidence or proof or processing that took place where you're a victim. We don't get to even call you a victim. It's an allegation. You are not a victim. No process, no legal process took place to where we're going to officially call you a victim. We can call you an alleged victim. But I'm not even going to do that. I'm not even going to call you an alleged victim. I call you liars.
Demonstrating that Ms. Constant was not consenting or could not consent because of the intoxicants that were provided to her.
Ms. Jaffe, it's Justice Todd.
Listen to this question from the judge and we're done.
Referred to when you were discussing the prior bad acts. I thought I heard you refer to them as prior crimes. Did you do so?
I don't know if I did. It was inadvertent, and I generally say prior bad acts because, and I'm well aware of the rules. It doesn't have to be a conviction in order to be a prior bad act. It can be crimes or other acts, and in this case, there are other acts. I've made no. If I did make an assertion that it was a crime, it was inadvertent, and I apologize.
That's all right.
Listen. But I will say that there doesn't need to be a conviction, prior bad acts to come in as the title of 404B makes.
See, this is how white people do. White people tell you no conviction, no court case. But if white people accuse you, black man or black woman or something, we'll just call it a prior bad act and use that against you. We'll just say so. This is that I'm white and I say so. Lying wonder.
Other acts are sufficient.
Yeah, that, but any of these prior victims report, prosecute, or go to court in any way over the internet?
Did you hear what the judge is asking her? She said, did any of these priors go to court? A judge? Was they prosecuted? Was it any kind of anything with any of it?
None of them went to court anyway. In terms of reporting, they did not report the incidents to the authorities for many years afterwards. However, many of them did in fact report them to some people. For instance, Shalon Lasha, she was the 17-year-old that the defendant intoxicated and sexually assaulted in a hotel room. Immediately afterwards, she drove to her guidance counselor and told her guidance counselor what happened.
When you're trying to get charges brought, do you go to guidance counselors to bring charges? Make it make sense, white people.
Dickinson. She confronted the defendant the next day, actually, and basically said, what the heck did you do to me? And then after that, she in addition, she told like her publicist, and she was an actress, she told other people.
Do publicists bring charges?
Including Dr. Drew Pinsky when she was on Celebrity Rehab show with him. This was a couple years after.
She was on Celebrity Rehab, she said some years after. Do the Celebrity Rehab people bring charges?
After the incident, well before the Andrea Constant incident. So she told her publisher when she wrote a memoir, and in fact, she wanted to include it in her book. However, after speaking with the legal team, they said, no, we can't put this, that he raped you and intoxicated you. And that was years and years before the assault came out. Several of the other prior bad act witnesses, when they went home, they told their roommate. Another one told their
do roommates bring charges?
Sister. But in terms of reporting it to the authorities, no. And as Dr. Ziv testified,
she says, as it relates to reporting it to authorities, did any of them, all of the women from the Civil War, from the Revolutionary War, any of these women that made allegations from the Civil War, the Revolutionary War, World War I, World War II, did any of those ladies, any of them, any of them, a piece of one, a fifth of one, a tenth of one, did any of them at any time at all go to the law? Some of you and I understand are careful not to jump to conclusions. We should be with each other. As far as I'm concerned, Becky can hold her own. You know what? Karen can hold her own. Gretchen, I don't play with them. Y'all don't know these things like I know them. I know them as judges. I know them as prosecutors. I know them as counselors inside of a prison. I know what these scheming administrators will do. I know them as agents, FBI agents. I know them as folks that will try to work for you and then behind your back work against you. I don't play when you show me something is your nature. Nowadays, now that this is recorded, because most court trials and hearings and procedures, they're typically not recorded, and many courts resist them more now than ever. Some of them are not resisting it, but many of them still resist being recorded. Because those court proceedings, they know that it's entirely different in many cases than what's happening in the court of public opinion. And that's what made me dangerous when I was an activist and involved in a lot of civil cases without training, without an attorney. I didn't know a whole lot, but I had God and the Spirit with me, and I was on the side of right and justice and truth. And I was a thorn in their side, and I was exposing them every which way. Satan does his best work in the judiciary. In fact, when the scriptures calls him, when Satan and when you study out the word in some of the original languages, it talks about even the role of a prosecutor. In fact, the book of Revelation calls him what? The accuser of the brethren. That accuses them day and night. You got to understand you got to understand what those metaphors mean. You find throughout scripture, the Old and New Testament, where there are always court procedures that it's talking about. And there being this adversarial tension happening either with Satan, the opposer, and some righteous man or woman. Even with the story of Job, it talks about how Satan even met in the court or the council of the other gods. And the God asked Satan, what was he doing? And he said he was going to and fro in the earth. This is where a lot of your warfare goes down, because in the courts, you're compelled to do something. Are you hearing me today? Why am I going to bring this part up? Watch this. I ain't got time to go through the rest. I'm going to mention this one bootlick and I'm out. Thumbs up, family. Thumbs up, like and share. What do you mean, Vicky? Well, I want to call to the stand Jamil Hill. I got just one example. Do you all remember, before I get to Jamil, thumbs up, like and share. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Diller. Follow me on Twitter at Diller Vicky. Do you all remember when we were giving this work so hard to Okra and Kale over the years? The proof of the Black grassroots was manifesting, so much so that Okra, Gail took off work after we tore that tail up. We exposed Gail for once again trying to profit and benefit off the death of a Black man's legacy. Gail was so humiliated. Gail took off work, and y'all remember Okra did an interview on another network and tried to blame it on the network for releasing the wrong clip and all this other kind of stuff. And Oprah started to act like she was choking up to my Gail is getting death threats and all this. Do you guys remember one of the things that Oprah said during her interview? Where my intelligent Black people? How many of y'all remember? I played it for you. How many of you all remember that one of the things that Oprah said when she was with her, that's right, her mammy tears, when Oprah, as a prominent member of the League of Mammies, when she started to bust out crying for her friend Gail, not Gail, Kale. Do you guys remember one of the things that she said? You got that right, Natural Springs. She mentioned Bill Cosby. Y'all know I'm gonna connect the dots. Y'all know I'm going to connect the dots. I said, y'all know I'm going to connect the dots. I bless your gifts 1,000-fold, family. Do you remember when she was in the middle of her crying? She sat there and said, and Bill Cosby, because Bill Cosby was in agreement about not attacking black men. He's tweeting from prison. Your League of Mammy member, once again, is throwing an innocent black man under the bus. Oprah, in even her defense of another fellow League of Mammy member, she had to stick it to Bill Cosby. A lot of y'all saying y'all remember. Y'all got to pay attention. They, like Michael Eric Dyson, they set an environment to where they caused even black folk, a lot of you were disgusted by Bill Cosby. So when they prosecuted him, the outcry was not as big as it should have been. Because some of you were so mad and disgusted and you were so upset because his criticisms of us, you didn't come to his defense when they were crucifying him. And Oprah, as a prominent member of media, assisted in creating an environment. So before, because they were not successful initially in the media, initially in court against him. And even before they went to court, remember, none of them ever went, none of the alleged victims ever even, none of them, not one, went to the law. None of them had a case. There was an environment that was set, and the environment that was set, they had you involved in it. They used bootlicks, bows and biscuits. That's the reason why, the same with R. Kelly. I'm not saying R. Kelly is innocent or guilty. I've said this so many times before, I'm going to say it again. In fact, I got into a debate with somebody about it that Dr. Boyce publicized. R. Kelly, no matter what you think about him, deserves a fair trial. And just like some of you was twitching your funny looking hips out there, assuming that Bill Cosby was guilty, and you didn't do one lick of research or homework. So because the false prophets who are white media did their hit piece, and they all with one voice on every channel and every written publication and all throughout digital media, all throughout internet media, because they said the same thing about him, you just automatically took their word for it. And so now you guys are sitting up here talking about, well, R. Kelly did this in the past. Let me tell you something. I'm not here to say R. Kelly is innocent or guilty, but what you won't hear Vicky do is automatically act like he is. I'm saying he deserves a fair trial. That's all I'm saying. And I've said it before, like I said, a couple of years ago, Dr. Boyce did a debate between me and another individual and publicized it, who shall remain nameless. You can Google it. Shout out to you, Street Strong. God bless your gift 1,000-fold. My gift is always multiplied from your blessing. Thank you. Oh, that's so precious. And I bless your gift, Street Strong, 1,000-fold. Beloved, watch this. Whatever you believe, you should believe he deserves a fair trial. And if he did what they said he did, then they ought to be able to prove it, right? So what's wrong with your funny looking, itching to please white folks, funny looking self? Why can't you just simply say, well, let's wait for all the evidence to come in? Now, I don't want to conflate R. Kelly with Bill Cosby. I'm going to stick to Bill Cosby right now. But I'm just saying, generally speaking, you should want people to have a fair trial. Now back to this League of Mammy, and I'm done. This is from Jamil Hill this year. Y'all know I'm always going to have the receipts and try to connect the dots. There's so much more I can say, but I got to go. Family, don't forget to tune into my show weekdays, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, family. So set your alarms, because you all know some of y'all came back yesterday, even though they didn't send out a notification for my second show, because I had a lot of tech issues. We had a little tech issues today, but we're making it through. Jamil Hill. Like I said, I got a whole lot of prompt points that I could make with the court hearing, and so many more points that I want to make, but I'm not going to do that. I got to go. Thumbs up, like, and share, family. If you're watching us on one of our YouTube affiliates, if you're watching us on one of our other platforms, please like, please share, please subscribe. Listen, Jamil Hill, just this year, a few months ago, loves to try to correct black men and weigh in. Again, this is the queen of games. See, she needs to stick to sports. Sports is all about games. See, you're a master of games. That's all you used to prevailing in. All you know about is games. Watch this. Aunt Jemima Hill, she tweeted this about Bill Cosby this year. Excuse me. She said, Bill Cosby was the same dude telling black men that they didn't deserve any respect because they wore their pants too low. They listened to hip hop and cussed too much. But please come to the defense of someone who loved to moralize our community while raping women. Now, I wonder if Jemele Hill is poised to make a public apology to Bill Cosby. I love you back. New York Kings, I bless your gift 1,000-fold. This funny looking bone and biscuit sat out there and equated Bill Cosby telling folks stop cussing and pull up their pants too. But please come to the defense of someone who loved, excuse me, to moralize our community while raping women. See, this is how funny you funny looking black females look. You black feminists out here running to the defense of some white women. Jemele Hill, we know, and of course the black media has always known, but now that this court proceeding is making it, elevating the truth of the facts of the case, I wonder, should we demand that Jemele Hill apologize publicly? But even if she did publicly apologize, what damage did the Okras, did the Jemele Hills, and did the Michael Eric Dysons do in creating an environment of guilt to where they shut their eyes to the possibility of what the white supremacists might be doing and made it easy for Dr. Cosby to be convicted? And watch this. Jemele Hill said he was out there raping women, and there's not one shred of evidence. I had to expose this today, dear family, because we got to cut it out. You've got to understand just how extremely adept your open enemy is at deceiving you. I wanted you to know that it would not have been possible, I don't believe, for Bill Cosby to be convicted. I believe that they helped to set an environment that caused him to be convicted. And it made black folk unwilling to come to his aid and to care. Not just not come to his aid, you guys participated in falsely accusing him. Keep that in mind. Let me get ready to go, family. I can't wait to see you tomorrow. Same time, same place. Love you to pieces. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram at Vicky X Dillard. I can't wait to see you soon. You're my bliss. I bow to you. You're such a special people. Thank you so much for tuning into the Vicky Show today.